Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people.
Mo, a liberal Democrat could have said that, and my guess is you would have applauded it. Even Bernie Sanders could have said that. So what's the catch?
I mean, Barack Obama in 2008, we are the change we've been waiting for, right? I mean, it's not a very unique or original thought.
That's not my point. My point is, so what's wrong with it?
What I think was wrong with his speech, look, I give him a lot of credit on that speech for a couple of reasons. One, it was very consistent. It was very Trumpian. This was the message that got him here, and it was targeted to the same people who voted for him. But that wasn't a majority of the country. I'm not saying he wasn't elected president, right? I mean, he was elected president of the United States. But a majority of the American people did not vote for him. And I heard very little in that speech that would actually appeal to those people. This was a very good, very Trump speech for a narrow, or narrow's not the right word, but for a specific audience, his supporters. Will he begin to appeal and bring more people in? He's entering office with the lowest approval ratings of any president ever in the history of polling. That should be a bit of a concern for him, rather than just play to his supporters, which I think he did very, very well.
Kim, do you agree with that? Or?
So here's the thing. You go out and look in the country, while the majority of people may not have voted for him, popular vote, what is widespread across the country is an incredible disgust with Washington and the inability to get things done. And I think,
and also a sense, if I may, of tremendous economic dislocation, that people are being left behind.
Exactly. So in that regard, I do think his speech was speaking to more than just those who voted for him, because that is a unifying theme out there. You talk to the Trump people, you talk to congressional Republicans, and what they are banking on is that you come in and you get some things done immediately, some big things that people can see, and that is what is going to end up moving some people in his favor, more than words of unity in a speech.
All right. We have to take a break here, panel, but when we come back, President Trump visits the CIA and says any talk of a feud is a media invention. We'll discuss his relationship with the intelligence community and the press when we come right back.
Get up this morning, I turn on one of the networks, and they show an empty field. I said, wait a minute. I made a speech. I looked out. The field it looked like 1.5 million people. They showed a field where there were practically nobody standing there.
President Trump complaining about reports on the size of the crowd at his inauguration while speaking at the CIA in front of the memorial to officers who died while serving our country. And we're back now with the panel. Well, Brett, you and I both covered the White House for years. And when White House press secretaries call special briefings, especially late in the afternoon on a Saturday afternoon, it's a big deal. It's a big personnel announcement. It's a big policy announcement. In your years covering, I can tell you, not in mine, have you ever seen a White House press secretary coming in to excoriate the press for their reports on crowd size?
No. And yesterday we were, preparing for some big announcement on policy or something, but then it was this excoriating message from Sean Spicer. One thing is clear. If anybody doubts that he's speaking on his own and not on behalf of the President of the United States, that's not true. He's clearly was told to get out there and do this because of after the remarks by President Trump early on. I think it was unusual. It was very different. I talked to people in the briefing room. They were shocked. But people at home, they said, the supporters said, this is exactly what we want. Break the China, forget it. How he deals with the press. This is the completion of the takeover of the Republican Party. And I don't say a hostile takeover because people went willingly because of the actions of the Obama administration and Republicans. And part of that is dealing with the press, as shocking as Washington is going to have to come to grips with. But I'll tell you, it was shocking yesterday.
I was going to say, I wish that there had been a reverse shot showing the reporters in the briefing room, because my guess is their jaws would have dropped within a look of complete astonishment. Juan, you were also a White House reporter. You sat in that briefing room. What did you make of it?
Sean Spicer's a good soldier. I think, just as Brett said, he was sent out there, I think, much the way that he was sent out at one of the news conferences in New York to deal with the Russian allegations. But when I think back to press secretaries from Larry Speaks to Tony Snow, Dana Perino, Josh Earnest, Robert Gibbs, I've never seen anything like it. I'm just being straight with you guys. It's suggested to me the question, where do you go from here? If that was the opening bid, If that's the way you feel, if the president is calling the press a bunch of dishonest human beings and Spicer sent out to scream and perform in that manner, to say to the press, you have no credit. I suspect this is about legitimacy, that they are very fearful and uptight about the idea that they are being delegitimized from day one.
Well, you heard that from Reince Priebus.
Indeed, today on the show. But I think that this response is so out of the box that it adds to questions about presidential behavior. Are they acting like a White House that we've seen before? Well, if they want to say it's unique, it's different, they're breaking the China, fine. But they're also hurting their standing, I think, not only with the press, but with the American people.
Mo, there's another aspect to what happened yesterday that, to me, is even more troubling, and that is that the president said several things that just weren't true. First of all, at the CIA, he said that all the reports of his rift with the intelligence community were a media invention. As I discussed with Reince Priebus, that's not true. I mean, he was the one who said it was disgraceful what the intelligence community did and compared it to Nazi Germany. And then through Spicer, he said that this was the biggest audience ever to attend an inauguration. That's also not true.
The President of the United States yesterday stood on hallowed ground in front of a memorial wall of fallen CIA officers. And he looked at the American people and he lied. He lied more than once. He lied about something of substance, his relationship with the CIA and what he has said in the past. And he lied about the most trivial of things he possibly could lie about, crowd sizes at an inaugural. We talked about the Spicer piece. There's even more troubling than that. They shut down the National Park Service's communications tool. It's Twitter, because the National Park Service tweeted out the crowd size estimates. This should be of concern to everybody, not just to the press, but to everybody. If people already are feeling a lack of trust in our government, this is not going to make it better. This is Nixonian politics in the Twitter era.
Wow, day three and we're in Nixonian politics?
On day one, on the first full day. This should worry everybody.
Kim, is that over the top?
Here's what you have to understand, though. Yes, people lack trust in institutions. And you want to know one of the major institutions they lack trust in? The media. So, you know, the president isn't going to stop this. He feels that there's no downside to this. This is a time-honored tradition, especially among Republican presidents, to talk about the media as a foil. And the media did itself no benefits in the run-up to the election. I mean, I'm not saying everyone around this table accepted, obviously.
Well, four of the five of us.
But, you know, all of the predictions that Donald Trump could not win, all of the stories, the day-to-day coverage of some of the major newspapers in promotion of Hillary Clinton and against Donald Trump. And Donald Trump believes that, you know, if he goes to war with the media, and he likes to feud with people, who better than to feud with in the media, because the public...
But do you agree with that? Do you really think he pays no price for what went on yesterday?
I don't know. I mean, again, you have to believe that the American public has more trust in the media than they do in the new president. And I'm not sure that's a clear-cut bet.
I will just say that in the campaign, there was, towards the end, this thought, here comes the pivot. Here's the pivot where he turns more presidential. Right. And, you know, it just can't come. He went to the teleprompter at the end. Then he gets to be president-elect, and he says sometimes presidential is going to look different. I'm going to do presidential different. Well, if people are looking for it to be different, I don't think it's going to happen. The one issue is that when he goes on the riffs, words do matter. And Eisenhower said less is more back in his day from the Oval Office. So it's not just the U.S. and his supporters who are looking at it, but there are countries around the world who are analyzing every word and what they mean.
And Juan, you know, I wonder whether President Trump, far be it from me to tell him what to do or who's right, but I think that he thinks because he won that he didn't pay any price during the campaign. But you look back at some of the moments when he got into the fight with the Gold Star family, when he went after the Mexican-American judge, he did pay a price. Yes, he ended up winning the election in the end, some would say because Hillary Clinton was a bad candidate, but you can't defy the laws of political gravity forever.
No, and what's intriguing to me is traditionally an inaugural speech really is sort of a unifying effort by the victor, saying, come together, America, I am your president, I am your leader. in giving the speech that he gave and the behavior that he's displayed and his press secretary displayed on the very first day, I think it is a defiance. I think it's fist pumping. I think it's very proud. Okay, but there's no sense in which, oh my gosh, look at all those protesters in the street. Oh my gosh, I acknowledge that there are some issues here and I want to bring us together. I just don't see that. I mean, you know, we were talking about press secretaries earlier. I used to get calls from press secretaries, White House press secretaries, and they'd be like, why did that story leak? You're out of the loop. We're not, you know, very personal. The idea that you would stand and lecture the whole American press, no matter how badly they may think of us, Kim, we play an important role in American democracy, and you can't just throw the whole thing out. I just felt like, wow, what is going on? It made me concerned.
15 seconds. Should he be concerned?
Look, I think that Donald Trump is not going to, he's comparing himself to his predecessor. It's not about unity, the words, it's about his actions in the end.
He's going to figure out a way to win.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about this for a while, my guess is. Thank you, panel. See you all next Sunday. And all that on the first weekend of the Trump era. And that's it for today. Have a great week. And we'll see you next Fox News Sunday.